Hello everyone, I hope you can hear me and see me well. If not, please let me know in the chat. But I hope everything is alright, and let me introduce myself. My name is Rosita, and I'm a product marketing manager here at Zenphi. Thank you so much for joining us today for Zenphi 101 webinar. I'm very excited to show you all the amazing things you can achieve with process automation in Zenphi. But before we begin, I just wanted to quickly highlight a few important moments. First of all, this webinar will be recorded and you will receive a recording in a couple of days afterwards. And secondly, our customer success team is also here to help you out with any questions you may have during the webinar. So if you have a question, please feel free to use a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. And someone from the team will answer. Okay, and yeah, we will have time for Q&A session at the end as well, where I will be answering your questions. So stick to it too. Okay, let's get started with a quick introduction of what Zenphi is and how it can help you reach your goals. And let me switch to my slides quickly. So, Zenphi is the only no-code process automation tool built specifically for Google Workspace users. And if your processes involve Google Sheets, Google Forms, Google Slides, and more, you can easily automate them with Zenphi. At Zenphi, we're absolutely sure that automation is the best solution if you're looking for ways to improve team productivity. And believe it or not, about 30% of an employee's day is wasted on unnecessary, manual, mostly administrative tasks. And it was a global study carried out by OnePoll. More than 5,000 employees were interviewed about their time allocation during a typical working day, and that was their answer. But we know it firsthand that with automation, Zenphi users free up at least 15 hours a week. And just imagine how much more you and your team could achieve with an extra 700 hours each year. And automation with Zenphi is not only saves time, but it has many other benefits too. And here I'll just highlight a few of them. While decreasing the manual workload, at the same time, automation prevents you from human error, and you don't need to rely on IT to perform simple tasks. Like creating or deleting a Google Workspace account, for example. With Zenphi, you can automate any processes quickly and cost-effectively compared to other tools. Your team will have more time for more meaningful human work and projects. And in the end, it will greatly boost your overall employee satisfaction. So when it comes to automation, there are different ways you can consider. Of course, you can use AppScript or GAM, which will require coding, which means, again, you'll need to rely on IT to create those automations, to update them when the business requirements are changed, and it's just never-ending cycle of wasted time. On the other hand, with no-code tools such as Zenphi, you can automate your own processes, and anyone on your team with no coding skills can do it. It means that your teams are empowered to optimize their own processes in the most easiest way. With a powerful visual builder like this and out-of-the-box integrations with everything your Google Workspace has, plus dozens of your favorite business tools like Jira, Slack, Trello, HubSpot, and many, many others. And no matter which team you belong to, if you can map out your process in a flowchart, Zenphi can help you automate it. And on the slide, you can see just some of the most popular processes among Zenphi users. So it's invoice processing, employee onboarding, NDA generation, Google Groups management, and many, many other processes. And I also wanted to take a moment to talk about such an important topic as security. So at Zenphi, the security of your organization is our top priority. Zenphi is GDPR and HIPAA compliant. We are also ISO certified company, and all the best security practices is a very important part of our work culture, and you can believe that we take your security very seriously. Okay, with that, let's jump into product demonstration. I'll guide you through a few basic Zenphi workflows so you can have a better idea of how you can automate with Zenphi yourself. And we'll start with the document generation automation, which is very simple yet very effective process that can save you a great amount of time. And yeah, I guess it's very universal, so everyone could relate to it. Alright, so I am inside my Zenphi account. I hope that you already registered your account as well, but if not, just head over to zenphi.com and start your 14 days free trial. It's totally free, no credit card required, so go ahead and play around with it. Okay, once you sign up, you should create a space for your first automated process. It's up to you how you handle organizing and managing your spaces. For example, you could create a space for each project or for each team. I usually create one space dedicated to each big process. So now let's create a new one for our document generation process to automate it from scratch. You also can start with a template. We'll talk more about them later. And for now, let's just select an empty space. Okay, so now we need to name our space. Let it be document generation. And let's choose an icon. Let's find something suitable for documents. Okay, let's choose this one. We can also add the description. We can skip it for now. Okay, so once you're in, you can check out the various tools that can help you manage your processes. So, for example, working in the Flow Designer, you can easily drag and drop the steps of your process to automate it. Tables allow you to store data from your processes in the form of a sheet. AI models help you automatically extract data from your documents or even images and enable you to use it in your processes. For example, you can extract data from an invoice, store it in Google Sheets, create automated reports out of it, and more. And you can even create business dashboards with process metrics. So let's get started with creating a flow. To create a flow, we should select what would be the trigger for our flow. And the trigger is the event that initiates the execution of the process. So your process may start from Google Form submission or Typeform submission, from incoming email, from the file that you upload to your Google Drive. It can even start on schedule or just by click. And for this process, we will choose Google Form submission. Okay, now we are inside the Flow Designer, and here we will be building our workflow from the trigger and then add different steps, which we call actions in Zenphi. And on the left panel, you'll find a rich set of integrations with different Google Workspace apps, like with Google Calendar, Google Directory, Google Docs, Drive, Gmail, Sheets, Slides, and more. And as you can see, this is not limited to Google Workspace ecosystem. We also have integrations with Asana, DocuSign, HubSpot, Jira, and many other tools. Moreover, there are a few operational tasks. For example, you can easily convert different text formats, or change time zone, or add time and date values. Also, we have logical actions, and with help of those actions you can create conditions, you can add parallel paths to your flow. So as you can see, the possibilities here are truly endless. So getting back to our document generation process, the idea behind that is that whenever an employee submits a Google form, we generate a unique document with their data and then send it back to this employee via email. So we already have a trigger in place, and now let's go to our action set and find Google Docs section. As you can see, there are many actions that we can do with Google Docs, and we're interested in generate document using template. And we drag and drop it to our flow, just like that. And now let's set our steps in more details. We're just clicking over here, and from the right side we see the setup tab for our Google form. And the first thing we should do is we should connect our Google Forms account to Zenphi. And the process of setting up the connection is pretty straightforward. So you just click create a new connection, choose whether you want it to be private or shared. So it's very beneficial if you're working on automation with your team, and click on authorize. I already have a connection in place, so I'm just gonna choose that from the drop-down menu. And here we should indicate what is the form that we want Zenphi to track for new submissions for it to initiate the process. And let's click here on this drive icon and choose the form that we are interested in. Alright, and under form controls, you can see that Zenphi went and read all the questions in the form, and it means that we can use this data from the Google form further in our process. And we not only have the questions, but we also have the form created time and initiator email. Also, we have form ID, and we can see what format of this data. So it can be text, date, time, or number. So our trigger is all set up, and let's quickly look at the Google form that we're going to be using for this process. So as you can see, it's pretty short, and here is the only information that we need from an employee to initiate the request. So it's email, full name, and the type of document that they request. Okay, now let's go back to Zenphi Flow and set up our generate document action. So how it works, we have a master Google Doc, which we're going to be using as a template for each employee's request. And then we're going to take the data out of Google Form and put the unique information from there into this master template. So here we also need to select the Google Drive connection, to have the access to this Google Doc. Let me quickly find the right one. Okay. And here we're indicating this template. Okay, let's click on select. And now we should indicate where we want the final document to be stored. And again, we just do that right from here. And we also should specify the file name for this newly created document. And it's going to be employee verification letter 4. And we want this file name to be unique to easily find it. So for that, we're going to be using the token picker. With the token picker, we can take the information from the Google form and paste it to further actions of our flow. So we just click over there. And here we see what is the output data that is available for us. And let's click on the trigger and let's select the full name from the Google form submission. Okay, so we also can choose what file types we want to generate. So I'm going to generate PDF as well. And to get a better idea of what we do here, let's take a look at the master template we set up in Google Docs. So say this is an employment verification letter, and each one contains unique parameters that we'll take from the Google form request. And to tell Zenphi where to put that unique data, we use these placeholders and put them into curly brackets. So in this letter, what we need is current date, the date of the request, employee name, start date of an employee, and their job title. So let's go back to Zenphi. And once we selected this document here in the template file, Zenphi went and read all the placeholders, and now we just need to fill in the needed values. So for example, for the employee name placeholder, we click here on the token picker as we did before, find the trigger section and click on full name. For the other placeholders, it's gonna be a bit trickier, but you'll see that it's actually will be more simple for the employee who initially requests the document. Let's start with the current date. As you can see from the Google form, we actually have this token, which is created time, but we want to make sure that this date is coming to the document in the correct format, and that's why we're going to be using one more action, which is format date time. So let's find it in the operations. Okay, and drag and drop it to the place after the form. Okay, and let's set this up. So we take the date from the Google form, and here we're indicating what is the suitable format for us. And I'd like to use this one. Okay, and we can go back to the generating document action and put the value from this format datetime action. Okay, good. Now for the job title and start date. So we don't want to ask the employee this information in the form, because um, most employees don't remember the exact date when they started working, and also in the job title they can be mistakes. So what we want to do is we want to take the employee name, look up this name in the Google Sheet with all the information about this employee, and take the data out of the Google Sheets and take it to the document. So for that, we're going to be using Lookup Pro action from the Google Sheet section. So let's go back. Actually, you can also add steps right from your flow. And let's find Google Sheets. And we're interested in Lookup Pro. Okay, so the process is the same here. We're just gonna choose the Google Sheets connection. As you remember, for each Google app, we need to create a new connection. And we're gonna find the sheet with the employee information. So I guess it's here. Yes, it's employees list. And the sheet name. So I have only one sheet. Now we should indicate that this Google Sheet has a header, and we can load the columns from there. Okay, and let me show you this Google Sheet. So yeah, this is just an example of how this sheet can look like. So here we have employee full name, start date, and job title. And now we tell Zenphi to find the Google Sheet row that contains the same name as indicated in the Google form submission. Okay, and here in the retrieve column section, we also indicating what columns we want to have as an output data that we will be using in the document generation action. As you can imagine, there can be hundreds of columns, so Zenphi allows you to choose what columns we want to retrieve. Okay, so let's go back to our action and put the left placeholders, and now we're going to take the data from that Lookup Pro action we just set. So we're interested in job title and start date. All right, so we've just built a flow path in case employee needs the employment verification letter. But as you remember, there were options to request other documents like contractor agreement, for example. So how we build paths for those scenarios? And for this, we're going to be using switch by value action. And it's located in the control flow section. Here it is. And we'll place it here. And by reading the answer from the Google form, it will lead an employee to the right path. So as an input, we're going to be using the data from the Google form. So here is the question. Please specify the required document. And we're just gonna type in the values that are indicated in the possible answers. So it can be employment verification letter. For the branch B, it'll be salary structure confirmation, and we're going to be adding a new branch, which is contractor agreement. Okay, and now let's place our generate document action to this path. So you can imagine doing the same thing for all the other documents, but we will continue working on the employment verification letter. And the last step of this process would be sending the generated document back to employee through the email. And let's use Gmail action for that. Okay, we're selecting the connection. Here we indicated who do we want to send the email to, and it's gonna be a form initiator. Let's also add my email to copy, just so we can see the result. Let's indicate the subject quickly. So it can be different format. We'll stick with rich text. And let's type the email itself. Hey, please check the requested document here. And again, here we will be using the token picker to take the document from our previous action. So let's find it. Here it is. And let's see what are the formats that are available for us here. So you can see there are plenty of them. We can share the PDF view link, PDF download link. We can also share the Google Doc. But for this, we're going to be using PDF download link. Okay, so now let's go and test this flow. So to test the flow, we need to save it first. And let's also name our flow. Let's quickly go through the steps once again. So once the Google form is submitted, the flow will go and format the date when this form was created. Then it will go and check the employee information from Google Sheets. And if the employee requested an employment verification letter, it'll go and generate a document and then send the email back to employee. Okay, so now let's go and test our flow. For that, we click here on the test run, and we're presented with two options. We can use a previous run to test it, which we can't do because that's actually the first flow run that we will have, or we can select a form to start, and that's what we're gonna be using. And I already submitted a form earlier, but when you're gonna test it, please make sure that you have at least one form response and that you're using your personal email as a form initiator, because when we test this flow, it will actually launch and it will go through all of those steps when we generate the document and send email, etc. Okay, so here's my form submission, and I'm clicking on start. And from the left side, you can see how your test session is going. So we see that it read flow submission, it went and formatted the date. Now it went to Google Sheet and found the employee. So now it went to the employment verification letter path, generated the document, and send out the email. Okay, now let's go and check the document and the email. So here is the folder that I indicated for storing this document, and I can see that we have Google Doc and PDF here. And let's check the document itself. So we see the date, and we see that all the placeholders are in place. So we see the job title and the start date of this employee. So it seems like everything is correct. And now let's go and see the email. Okay, we can see that email was received as well. The requested document is ready. And here we see the same document. Okay, all good. Now let's go back to Zenphi and close this test session. So now what we want to do, we want to modify this flow a little bit, and let's say that your business requirements have changed, and now you need to bring a human into your process, and before sending the email back to employee, we need a manager's approval. So for that, we're going to be using assign task action. So it's very useful if you want to get a simple response from the assignee. So for example, if we want the manager to approve or reject the document. So let's drag and drop our action here and see how this is set up. So here we just need to fill in the information for our task, which is a task name. Let's say please review the document and the task description. So let's say that this employee has requested the employment verification letter, and now we're giving the assignee two outcomes to choose from, so they can either approve or reject this document. As you can see, you can add as many outcomes as you need, and here we're indicating the email. So by default, assignee will receive this task in a form of an email, and also if they are registered Zenphi users, they will also see the task over here. So let's quickly fill in the information. Send the display name. So for the assignee's email, I'm going to be using my personal email so we can see how it looks from the assignee side, and we'll just copy the task name into email subject and the task description into our email body. Okay, and for the attachments, we'll use the generated document in action above. You can also set the expiry date. So in this example, if no one responds after 7 days, then the task will be expired and automatically rejected. And also you can set up the reminder. Okay, now let's go and test the flow once again. Okay, so we see how this flow is being executed. Okay, so we see that Zenphi has assigned a task, And as you can see, now this flow has been paused because we're waiting for the assignee's outcome. And let's go and check our email. Okay, so we see the email from Zenphi. Please review the document. And that's how our task will look like. So as you can see, it's pretty convenient for the assignee to give a response. They just need to click on the desired outcome, and we click on approved. Okay. And as we can see, now this step was completed, and Zenphi sent the email again. And let's check if that's true. Okay, yeah, we see that the email was received once again successfully. Okay, let's test the session. So as you can see, we were able to easily change the process in a matter of minutes. And you can imagine extending this process for your unique case. So for example, instead of using Zenphi internal task assigning, you can assign a task with your tools. For example, you want to assign task in Jira or in Trello. You can also notify your team in Slack, or you can even set up some password to your PDF. You can also send this document to the manager signing with these DocuSign actions, for example. But now let's say that our process is up and running, but we need to take out some metrics from our process. So for example, we want to understand how many documents were requested, how many of them were approved or rejected, or what is the average time for approval, or what documents are requested more often, or anything else that's important for your business. And for that, we will use Zenphi tables and dashboards. It's very easy to set up, and now I'm gonna show you how you can do that. So let's go back to our document generation space and head over to tables. So as you remember from the beginning of the webinar, tables is our built-in powerful database. It works almost like any other bases, like Google Sheets. So let's see how we can create a new table. We'll click here. So by clicking here, you're adding columns. So for example, we also can choose the data type. So it's going to be date time. We can choose the format and the time format. Here we can edit the columns. So let's say that here could be document name. And by clicking here, we can add new records to our table. So here we're just filling in the document name and choosing the date. While you can add records to your table manually, we want this table to be managed automatically. And for example, each time someone requests a document, we want a new record for that. And let's set this scenario up. And now I'm gonna transfer the table that I've created earlier, and let's delete this one. So you can move tables from other spaces, and for that you just click over here. So as you can see, I've already created the columns that I need for this table. So here we will have document name, document status, days that it took for document to be approved, document link, requested time, response time, and the manager who approved it. Now, as I said, I want every time the document is requested for the new record to appear here. And I'm gonna go to flows and open this once again. Okay, and now we need to find our table set of actions. And we're interested in create record action. So let's place it over here and set this action up. So here we need to choose the table, and now we need to indicate what are the columns that we want to add with this action to table as well. So we want to add document name, document status, and request time. At this stage of the process, we only have the information for these columns, but we will add the further information as we go through the process. So as always, we use the token picker here. And the document status we can just type in. So let's say now the status would be requested, and we'll take the request time from here. And once the document was generated and the task has been assigned, we want to change the document status in the table, and for that we're going to be using update record action, and we place it here. Again, we are choosing the table, and for the record ID we have smart suggestion for choosing the token picker. So we actually using the record ID from the create record action that we have just set up. And now the fields that we're interested in would be document status, and as far as the document was already generated, we can also fill in the document link. And the document status would be is being reviewed, and the document link we will take from here. Okay, and the last action that we will be adding here would be update record again. And now we're interested in filling the fields that are left. Okay, so here we will be editing document status, and we'll also add response time and manager. So now the document status would be approved or rejected, and we'll take this data from assigned task action. The response time will also take from here. And let's choose the manager one. Okay, so now let's launch our flow once again. So we're going through the same process as before. Okay, so now we see that the record was created and Zenphi also assigned a task. So first of all, let's go and check our Zenphi table. Here you can see that the record was created, and we see the document name and the document status. Now let's go and see the email. Okay, we see that it was assigned, and we click on approved again and go back to Zenphi to track the progress. Okay, our test went successfully. We see that the record was updated and the email was sent. Okay, let's close and go back to Zenphi table. So by clicking here, we can refresh the data. Okay, great. So we see that the document status changed. We can now see the document link, the response time, the manager, and everything that we were interested in. We don't have the days to approve here, but you can easily add this field as well by using the same logic. Okay, and now with this data, we can go and create dashboards that we can use for displaying business metrics, monitor progress, and we can even share those dashboards with our team. So let's click on create dashboard pages. Let's name it document process insights, and again we can choose the color and the icon for our dashboard. Okay, so the dashboard page is created, and now we can add different widgets to this page. So to add a new widget, we just click here. Now we need to choose what is the type of widget we want to display on this dashboard page, and let's start with the pie chart. So let's say that we're interested in document statuses. So as you can see, we can add widget title, or we can remove it by clicking here. And we also can have widget border or not. And now let's set up the widget itself. So here we need to select the table that we will be using to take the data from, and it's going to be document statuses. Let's add a slice, and we're interested in this column. And size by the same column. So we're interested in all of the documents that we have in this table, so that's why we're creating count. And let's click on save. Okay, so we see that now we have 6 approved documents and 2 of them are rejected. Here we also can select color palette. I'm satisfied with this one. And here we can choose, it can be a pie or a donut. Okay, let's stick with the pie and click on save. Okay, so that's how easily we have created our first widget. Let's add some more. And now, for example, we want to know who is the best performing manager and who approves documents faster. So for that, we're going to be using series chart. Let's name it managers time to approve. And we're going through the same process again. So for horizontal view, we're choosing manager column. And for vertical, we're interested in days to approve. Okay, and here we'll take the average. Okay, and with this widget, we see that Manager 1 approves the documents faster. And let's click on Save. Okay, let's add the last widget, which is going to be a simple metric. And for example, here we just want to display how many documents were rejected. Okay, here we're choosing that we're interested in document status again, and we'll choose count. Okay, now we see that we have 8 documents in total, but to display the number of rejected documents only, we will use this condition tab, and we will add a condition. So we're saying document status equal to rejected. Okay, and we see that we have only 2 documents rejected. Let's change the title here and change the size as well. Let's click on Save. Okay, we can also change the size of our widgets. We can take and move them within the page. So we can customize this dashboard page as we need. And let's see what other widgets that we can add here. So it can be a simple list. So you can take the data right from table, filter it, and display it on the dashboard pages. Also, it can be calendar, a Kanban view, a grid, or you can even just insert web pages to your table. Okay, let's go and create one more dashboard page, and we'll see how you can add web widget there. So let's close, click on Save. And create a new one. So let's say that we want to create a portal for our employees, and we want to put the document request form right to this portal. Okay, we're clicking on Add New Widget again and choose the web. So here, as you can see, we'll just insert the URL and we'll take that from the Google form. So let's remove the title and the border. So as you can see, just like that, we can insert the Google form to your Zenphi dashboard. Okay, as you can see, we have automated a whole process from scratch in less than an hour, and we see how easy it is to change the steps of your process, We also went and created a full automated database with business dashboards to optimize your process. And that was a very simple example of what you can do in Zenphi. And it literally less than 1% of Zenphi's capabilities. And if you allocate a little more time for process automation, you'll be able to automate much bigger and more advanced processes for your organization. And I quickly wanted to show you some of the more advanced processes. And with Zenphi templates, you can automate them much quicker than in case you would start from scratch. So as you remember, you can access the templates from creating a new space. So let's launch this template together so you can see how easy it is. So let's click on use template. So here on the welcome page, you'll see a short description of this process, what flows are included here, and the descriptions of those flows as well. And don't miss those instructions, they are pretty useful too. So once we're familiar with what this process has to offer, we'll just click on use this template. And now we need to establish a few connections. So again, if you don't have the connections with Google Directory yet, you just click on plus, and I'm gonna be choosing the connections from the drop down that I already established earlier. And this template also has some of the supporting content, and we indicated straight away where do we want this content to be stored. And we click on use this template. Okay, and inside this space template, we see that 6 of the flows are already there. And now we can click on any of it to explore and to use them as a starting point for automating your Google Administrator tasks. So one of the flows that we have here is employee onboarding. Let's open to explore what's inside. So this floor starts with a form as well, but instead of a Google form, we use internal Zenphi form that has more capabilities for automation. And by clicking on the form builder, we can see what are the questions inside. So for employee onboarding, we need someone to fill in the first name, last name of the employee, the role information, the title, the manager, and organization unit, and more. Then we're gonna use the format date as we did before. And here we also be using generate password action, create user in Google Directory action, and here we automatically add this user to the group. Moreover, here we are updating email signature for this user and notify the manager in the end. So you can imagine how much time you can save with automating this part of employee onboarding. And there are more Google administration processes as well. So you can automate employee offboarding, you can automate reset password requests, update email signatures for your employees, or automate your vault data. So I highly encourage you to check out the templates that are close to your use case, and I'm sure you'll find some inspiration for automating your own processes. Okay, so with that, we're ending our product demonstration and we're open to a Q&A session. So If you have any question, please feel free to use Q&A button, which is located at the bottom of your screen, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. And let me quickly check our chat. Maybe we have some questions already. Okay, I can see a question in the chat. How many users can I add? That's a great question. It depends on the user type and the pricing plan you are on. And let me quickly open the Zenphi pricing and explain it in more details. So you can find our pricing on the Zenphi website, zenphi.com. And as you can see, for all the pricing plans, we have unlimited guests. And guest is someone who can collaborate with Zenphi dashboards. So you can imagine that you can create portals for your employees to request different documents, and they will be able to request the document, track the progress of their own documents, etc. Or you can just share business metrics with your team. So it's absolutely unlimited. And for most pricing plans, we also have unlimited workflow designers. Designers are the people who can create flows and edit them. But for essentials and the starter plan, there is a limit for having only one workflow designer. So I hope I was able to answer your question, and let me check if we have anything new in the chat. Okay, I see a few questions about the pricing, so let me explain it in more details. So we have 5 pricing plans for all of the team sizes. So starter plan is absolutely free, and you can start your automation journey with it by managing one workflow. So for example, you can launch document generation automation and generate like 30 documents per month. And with essentials, you can automate 10 processes, again with only one flow designer, and it can be 1000 flow runs per month. And what is a flow run? So each time flow is executed, it counts as one flow run. And you can also use Zenphi form in the essentials plan and add more flow runs if required. Pro plan is the most popular within our clients, with 20 processes to automate, 5,000 flow runs, premium support, actions for Google Administrator, document AI that can help you automatically extract data from documents and images and use this data in the flows. You can also have tables and dashboards. So basically, it includes everything that you have on your trial right now. And with Pro Plus, you have everything from the Pro, but with even more processes and even more flow runs. We also have Enterprise Plan, and with enterprise-specific features like multi-region support, audit logs, and more. And if you need any help with figuring out what pricing would work best for you, please book a personal call with our success team, and we'll be happy to help you out. Okay, let me quickly check if we have anything else in the chat. Okay, I can see one more question. What is the best place where I can learn Zenphi automation? That is a really good question. So there are multiple places where you can do that. And the first one is our help center, and you can access it right from your Zenphi account, right there, documentation. So there you will find a very detailed descriptions and explanation about how each Zenphi action works. So check it out. It's a very useful resource. Also, keep an eye on our blog. We are posting many different tutorials from time to time. Also, I highly encourage you to explore Zenphi templates. And yeah, the best way to learn is practice. So, right after the webinar, I really encourage you to go and automate something simple, like really one simple task that you do every day or every week, like form approval, or it can be report generation. And you will see how even this small change will free up your time. And once you get used to the platform, I'm sure you'll be finding more and more processes to automate every day. Yeah, and I highly recommend participating in the personal demo with our success team. There you can discuss your unique case, best practices for it, and basically anything you need help with. It's absolutely free for all Zenphi users, no matter the pricing plan you are on. And yeah, it's just there to help you out with automating your processes. Oh, and definitely check out our YouTube channel. There you will find dozens of scenarios to automate, and also all of our webinar recordings. And we'll actually send you the links to all of the resources that I mentioned, so you can easily access them. Okay, I can see some more questions in the chat, but unfortunately our webinar has come to an end. But if your question wasn't answered, we'll get back to you through email. Okay, so thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you were able to learn Zenphi's basics, and now you are ready to start your own automation journey. If you have any questions, please reach out to us at success@zenphi.com. We will be super happy to help you out. You can also contact us through website support chat at zenphi.com. Okay, so thank you very much again, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.